Hey everyone, welcome back to the Kelly Counts Macros podcast, where we talk about nutrition, mindset, and creating a lifestyle that actually works for you long term. I'm Kelly, your macros coach and wellness bestie. And if you've ever looked at the scale and thought, I'm not as far along as I want to be, then this episode is for you. If you love this episode, please take a second to follow, share it on your stories, and tag me. If you haven't already, leave a quick review. It helps me reach more people who need to hear that they are doing better than they think they are. So, if someone came to me after an 8 week shred and said, I'm not as far along as I wanted to be, here's what I would tell them: you're not behind. You're just early in the process of long-term success. The scale is only one piece of data, and it's not the best indicator of progress. Weight loss doesn't happen in a straight line. Your body is constantly adapting. If your habits are improving, if you're showing up, and if you're learning about your body, that your scale weight fluctuates and you are removing the emotion from the scale, that is progress. You've already done the hardest part. You started, you stayed in it, and the only way to fail now is to quit. This is exactly why I built the clubhouse, because transformation doesn't end when 8 weeks ends or the shred ends or 6 weeks ends. That is a dieting mentality. You need to continue on and have the support so that it becomes a lifestyle. The 8 weeks, the shred gives you that momentum, but the clubhouse helps you keep it. Inside, we focus on mastering the mindset that keeps results coming, learning to detach from the scale, have a better relationship with food, celebrate non-scale victories in the way that our genes are fitting, and staying accountable through every phase. So instead of thinking, I'm not as far along as I want to be, start saying, I'm further than I was when I started. So you're building a lifestyle, not chasing a finishing line. That is a dieting mentality. That's something that you don't want in your life. And the clubhouse is where you keep that progress alive. So what's happening in the clubhouse membership? We are doing a Slay Strong that kicks off December 1st. It is a strength training program. We will be working out together for 23 days with me and our personal trainer inside of the clubhouse, my sister, Kate. So if you're in the clubhouse, make sure you've printed off your December consistency calendar and the fun coloring page under files, especially if you are joining Slay Strong. The new clubhouse recipe this week was lightened up shepherd's pie, perfect for Thanksgiving mashed potato leftovers. And if you haven't listened to last week's episode, I got so many amazing comments on this. What I See You Doing. It's been one of the most loved and shared episodes so far. So go back and take a listen to that if you have not. It's all about comparison. We talk about perfectionism and staying in your own lane. So let's get into today's episode. I'm not as far along as I want to be. So let's be honest, we've all said this, whether it's weight loss, building muscle, or just feeling like your healthiest self. We all have moments when we look at our progress and think this should be happening faster. But today I want to walk you through two real messages from my clients that perfectly capture what this process really looks like and why your progress might not show up where you expect it to. In this day and age with Amazon Prime and being able to get everything digitally, we want everything fast, right? But anything regarding a diet, I'm using my air quotes, if you lose weight too fast, you will regain it. So we will also talk about that in this episode. So, one of my clients shared with me recently, I think being in a funk was making me feel depressed, like I was broken and wouldn't be able to rewire my brain. Learning that I won't always feel perfect and just not letting that be a long-term thing Like right now, I was able to bounce back is a good thing. And just being more mindful about it all is good versus giving up. She said she's realizing she's truly trying to change her lifestyle once and for all. She's sick of the yo-yo. She's sick of all the fad diets, but she's frustrated that she could have been 2 weeks further along because of this funk that she was in. So she feels behind. I would call her a perfectionist. And when things aren't perfect, she gets discouraged. So I know a lot of people can relate to that, and this story resonates with them. So my response to her would be, you're not crazy at all, right? You're human. This is not the first time I've heard this story. And what you're describing is exactly what the process looks like when you're creating real and lasting change. Every day, every week will not be perfect. So often when we start a diet or a plan, we do really well for the first couple of weeks, and then we fall off because we feel like we can't do it perfectly. I've talked about quitting day. It's usually 19 days into trying something new. So, not necessarily because they fail do they quit, but because the change feels harder than expected. And you need to expect this dip and plan to keep going anyway. You didn't fall off the wagon, you hit a bump. One missed day doesn't erase your progress or undo your brain's learning. So stop saying you'll start when you're ready. Your life is a melting ice cube, and today is the only some day that you're guaranteed. So your life here on earth is like a melting ice cube, and today is the only someday you are guaranteed. If you know your why, we talk a lot about our why in the shred. Quitter's Day doesn't stand a chance. If you have a purpose or a reason to keep going, that kills the excuses, even when the excitement wears off. Okay. So if your why is because you want to be healthy for your kids, if your why is because you want to feel better in your genes, if your why is that you want to age gracefully and be able to keep up with your grandkids, this is what will keep you going. It kills the excuses. So remind yourself of your why. Life doesn't reward perfect streaks. Life does not reward perfect streaks. It rewards consistency. It rewards patience and the courage to add one more day, even when you want to quit, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't feel like tracking your food, even when you don't feel like doing your workout. So that bounce back moment that she mentioned, that's everything. That's the difference between the old all or nothing mindset and the new all or something mindset. You didn't spiral, you paused, you regrouped, you got back to it. That is progress, not perfection. And here's something that I say, and I told her to write it down. Perfection is prison. Perfection is prison. Perfection isn't real. It's what keeps you stuck in that cycle of guilt, shame, burnout. Okay. And yes, of course, I still get in funks too. Just because I'm a macros coach doesn't mean that I don't get into funks. But what I've learned and what I repeatedly tell myself that my mood is my choice. And a lot of people like to talk about I'm overwhelmed, overwhelmed. Well, it's a choice, and it's my choice to either feel overwhelmed or not. So motivation isn't constant. It's not supposed to be. But when you rely on your systems and your non-negotiables, you show up for yourself with a plan, and even an imperfect plan still works. So once you adapt to this lifestyle, the guilt, the pressure, it all starts to fade. You don't fall off anymore. You simply recalibrate and keep going. When you stop letting off weeks or off days or off meals turn into off months, That's when everything changes. That's when you know you're truly transforming, not just your body, but your mind. And that's why we use the consistency calendar inside of the Clubhouse membership. It's so simple, but we don't allow ourselves two red X's in a row. And we also aim for 80%. We aim for 80% consistency, not 100%. Okay. Now let's talk about another message I got. I think so many of you will be able to relate to this as well. She said, I'm not feeling great, and it's hard to remind myself that I'm making positive changes when it doesn't show up on the scale. She's given up wine, she's walking daily, she's focusing on protein, and she's eating more consistently. But she was hoping to be further along by now. So, sound familiar? We've all been there. So, I asked her a question that I want you to ask yourself the next time that stupid plastic box, the scale, frustrates you. If the scale didn't exist, what signs would tell you that you're moving in the right direction? And when you really think about it, your answers might sound something like this. My clothes are fitting differently. I feel more positive. I have a better relationship with food. I'm walking more. I'm getting outside. I haven't ditched the process like I normally do. And then I'll say to them, are the changes you're making sustainable? And they'll say yes. And then I'll say, what's changed about your mindset over the last, let's say, 2 months? So the response is, it doesn't feel mind blowing or drastic, but I'm just trying to become more mindful and consistent. It's hard to be patient. I'm impatient by nature and expect immediate results. And I told her, yes, we all do, especially now that we live in an Amazon Prime world, right? We want it fast. But here's the truth. If you lose the weight fast, you will gain it back fast. 80 to 90% of people will regain most of the weight because the changes were not sustainable. And then some. They'll gain all the weight back fast and then some. So removing the dieting mentality is key. Building habits and making them stick. That's what we do in the Clubhouse membership. Continue to build those habits and make them stick. Cement it in. So staying on target, talking about the Star Wars analogy. So I'm not a Star Wars fan, but one of my clients brought it up. So we came up with something to remind her of that. And it kind of stuck with me. So she talked to me about that scene in the original Star Wars movie when Luke is trying to destroy the Death Star and one of the pilots keeps repeating, stay on target, stay on target. That's it. That's the mindset. You're flying through this journey, obstacles all around you, holidays, hormones, work stress, kids, running everybody around, taking care of others, not taking care of yourself, comparison, and your brain wants to pull you off course. But your job is to stay on target. So this week, she's planning to play that on repeat in her mind all week, and I want you to do the same. But here's what she added that I absolutely loved. She said, success is guaranteed, even if it takes longer. I let her know that. And we decided, yes, this needs to be on repeat. Success is guaranteed, even if it takes longer. Write it down, say it every morning, stick it on your fridge, put a sticky note on your mirror. Success is guaranteed, even if it takes longer. Because it's true. If you keep showing up, the math works. The body will respond, you will win. The journey isn't about speed. It's not about speed, it's about staying power. So when you're not as far along as you want to be, it's easy to slip into the mindset that you failed, that I failed again, that this isn't working. But the truth is, the only way to fail is to give up. Progress isn't always visible, and it rarely happens on your preferred timeline. The small, unseen choices, logging your food, showing up for a workout, passing on the wine, getting back up after a rough day. Those are the moments that build the transformation you can't yet see. Quitting stops that momentum. Consistency compounds it. Every day you choose to keep going, even imperfectly, you're still moving forward. You're building discipline, resilience, and a body and mindset that can't be shaken by a slow week or a stubborn scale. You can't lose if you don't stop showing up. If you are a Clubhouse member, you will not quit or stop showing up because we won't let you. So, takeaways. So, here's what I want you to take away from this episode. Perfection is prison, it keeps you stuck. Progress is built through imperfection and showing up anyway. Bounce back faster. Don't wait weeks to regroup. Catch your mindset mid spiral and pivot. 3, motivation isn't constant. Discipline is your safety net. 4, the scale doesn't tell the full story. Progress shows up in strength, non-scale victories, mindset, consistency. And number 5, success is guaranteed even if it takes longer. Stay on target. Before we wrap up, the Clubhouse recipe, if you're a member, the Lightened Up Shepherd's Pie, just wanted to remind you of that. It's cozy, it's high in protein. It's the perfect way to use Thanksgiving mashed potatoes without throwing your macros off. So if you're in the Clubhouse, be sure to check that out. If you want to join the Clubhouse, I'll put the link in the show notes. It starts with a one-on-one with me so that we can get you started off in the right foot with a very custom detailed plan. We celebrated a lot on Instagram this week. Be sure that you listen in to Tuesday, November 18th at 7 a.m. on our Facebook community page, KKM plus Train with Kate, to announce the official shred winner. So I'm announcing it tomorrow, Tuesday, November 18th at 7 a.m. We've loved seeing your consistency calendars, weight graphs, reflections rolling in. Every single one of you should be proud of the work you've done these past 8 weeks if you were in the winter shred. The fall shred. So grab your coffee, hop on the live with us, and celebrate how far you've come. You never know. Your name might just be the one that we call. All right, friends, that's it for today's episode. I'm not as far along as I want to be. If you're feeling behind, remember you're not. You're right where you're supposed to be, imperfect, aware, and making moves anyways. That's what transformation looks like. If you love this episode, please share it on your stories. Please tag me. I want to thank you. And let me know what your favorite takeaway was. All right. If you're not already in the Clubhouse, this is your sign. We're heading into Slay Strong next month, and I'd love to have you join us to end the year strong. You're always doing better than you think you are. I'll see you next week. And until then, stay consistent, stay kind to yourself, and stay on target.